Can you believe it? 6 credits. That's what I paid for this absolute behemoth of a ship. 6 credits. I probably have more than that stuck between my couch cushions. The auctioneer barely even looked up when I placed the bid. Everyone else in the room? They were either laughing or just shaking their heads, probably thinking, what a sucker. And honestly, looking at her then, I couldn't blame them. They called her the Iron Coffin, the Rust Bucket, the 6-credit mistake. The official listing just said, Decommissioned Citadel-class armored cruiser, designation Vindicator. But ruined was the word on everyone's lips, and they weren't wrong. The port side was a mangled mess of torn plating and exposed conduits, a massive scar from some long-forgotten battle. The primary engines were completely offline, stripped for parts years ago. The bridge looked like a meteor had gone bowling inside it, shattered viewports, fried consoles, wires hanging down like dead vines. The life support system was a ghost, and the internal decks were a maze of pressure leaks and structural damage. The official report said it was only good for one thing, scrap metal. And even then, the cost of towing it to a breaker's yard would probably be more than the value of the raw materials. So why did I buy it? Call it a gut feeling. Call me crazy. But while everyone else saw a wreck, I saw potential. I saw history. Citadel-class cruisers. They don't make them like this anymore. These were the ships that held the line during the Outer Rim conflicts. They were built to last, with a triple reinforced neo-steel frame that could withstand insane amounts of punishment. This ship, the Vindicator, had a story etched into every dent and scorch mark. And underneath all that rust and ruin, I could feel it. A flicker, a pulse, a fighting spirit that refused to die. I knew, right then and there, that I had to save her. The first few weeks were absolute hell. Just getting basic power online was a monumental task. I had to manually reroute emergency power from the auxiliary fusion core, which by some miracle was still intact. I spent days crawling through dark, cramped maintenance shafts, splicing cables and bypassing fried circuits, just to get a single light to flicker on in the engineering bay. The air was thick with the smell of ozone and decay. Every creak and groan of the hull sounded like the ship was about to tear itself apart. There were moments, many moments, when I sat there in the dark, covered in grease and grime, thinking, they were right, this is impossible. But then, I'd find something, a small victory. I managed to get a section of the internal comms working. Hearing my own voice echo through the deserted corridors was eerie, but it was a start. Then I found the ship's original log archives. Most of the data was corrupted, but I was able to piece together fragments of its history. The Vindicator had served with distinction, earning battle honors in a dozen systems. Its last captain, a woman named Eva Rostova, had gone down with the ship, refusing to abandon her post during a catastrophic systems failure after a pirate ambush. Her final log entry was just 2 words. Hold fast. That became my mantra. The biggest challenge was the main reactor. It was a complete write-off. No amount of rewiring was going to bring that beast back online. A new reactor of that size would cost millions of credits, money I absolutely did not have. This was the point where any sane person would have given up. But I had an idea, a risky, probably stupid idea. I'd been following the development of experimental K-type fusion cores. They were smaller, more efficient, but notoriously unstable. I managed to acquire a prototype unit from a less than reputable dealer on a backwater moon. He sold it to me for a song, mostly because he thought it was more likely to explode than generate power. Integrating that K-type core into a ship designed for a completely different power system was the most difficult thing I have ever done. I had to fabricate custom mounts, write new control software from scratch, and build a containment field that was, let's be honest, mostly guesswork and prayer. The day I first tried to bring it online, my heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. I initiated the startup sequence from a remote terminal, hiding behind a blast shield 100 meters away. The lights in the engineering bay flickered, the hull hummed, and then a deafening silence. Failure. I spent the next month troubleshooting. It turned out to be a powerful regulator issue. The old systems couldn't handle the K-type's output spikes. I had to design and build my own custom regulators, spending all my remaining credits on salvaged components. The second attempt was even more nerve-wracking than the first. I initiated the sequence, and this time the hum grew into a steady, powerful thrum. The lights didn't just flicker. They blazed to life, one deck after another. The main view screen on the bridge, which I'd patched with salvaged plasteel, flickered and displayed a systems-ready message. I had done it. The Vindicator had a heartbeat again. With the main power online, everything changed. I could finally use the ship's own fabrication units to repair the hull damage. The nanite welders, slow but steady, began sealing the breaches and reinforcing the frame. I scavenged parts for the engines from a dozen different ship graveyards. I found a compatible thruster array from a wrecked hauler and a set of maneuvering verniers from an old patrol cutter. It was a patchwork job, but it was functional. The bridge was my pet project. I couldn't afford brand new consoles, so I rebuilt them myself, integrating modern processing units into the classic, sturdy frames. It was a blend of old and new, a tribute to the ship's past and a nod to its future. The day finally came. After 6 months of non-stop work, blood, sweat, and more than a little hydraulic fluid, she was ready. I stood on the bridge, the same bridge that was once a shattered ruin, and looked out at the stars. The new K-type reactor hummed beneath my feet, a steady and powerful pulse. The engine status read green across the board. The view screen was clear. With a trembling hand, I pushed the throttle forward. There was a deep, resonant rumble that shook the entire frame. Not a groan of protest, but a roar of awakening. The Vindicator, the iron coffin, the 6-credit mistake, slowly and majestically pulled away from her moorings and slid into the void. We jumped to the system where the auction house was located. I flew a low, slow pass over the main station. I could feel the eyes on me. I opened a system-wide comm channel. "This is the Starship Vindicator, requesting clearance for a flyby." There was a stunned silence. Then the traffic controller's voice came back, shaky and incredulous. "Vindicator? Affirmative ... clearance granted." The same people who laughed me out of the room were now staring in disbelief. They saw a ruined wreck destined for the scrapyard. I saw a queen waiting to be restored. It just took a little bit of faith, a lot of hard work, and the courage to see the potential that everyone else missed. They were all wrong. And this is just the beginning of our journey. Thanks so much for watching me bring this old warhorse back to life. If you enjoyed this project, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more insane restorations. Let me know in the comments what you think I should upgrade next. See you in the next one.